voiceamerica.com.
Welcome to Crime Prevention 101 with host Susan Bartelstone. We're so happy you've joined us this weekend. Over the next hour, you'll learn the tips, tricks, and vital information that'll help you keep yourself confident and safe. Now, here's the host of Crime Prevention 101, Susan Bartelstone.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to Crime Prevention 101. The personal safety radio show with the optimistic perspective on a sober subject. And speaking about sober, I hope you are all sober by now. This is my first show of the new year, 2009, and the promise of new beginnings is in the air. And I hope that you all had as good a New Year's celebration as you possibly could, given the times and given your circumstances. And I hope you also had a safe one as well. And believe me when I say this, no matter what else is going on for me, I have to tell you that it is a true joy for me to be here with you today and spend this hour with you. Now, in the spirit of renewal and fresh starts, my guest today is Larry Lawton, a man who went into the criminal justice system as a really bad guy and came out changed. And he's since founded an amazing program for kids to show them what prison life is like. And he has affected hundreds of troubled lives so far. Sorry, I can't talk today. And I hope that his story gives you encouragement and inspiration. And even if life seems bleak and hopeless, it really can turn around. Before I introduce Larry, though, I've got a mailbag item for you, and I've got a couple of weird police reports that I found that I really liked. Now, the mailbag item, it was a letter that was emailed to me on my DearSafetySolutions.com website, and it said, "I've been catching up on your archive broadcasts, and I appreciate hearing them and learning from them. Thank you so much for having me on your email list." And it's signed Kathleen S. from Narvon, Pennsylvania. And thanks so much, Kathleen, for your comments and for listening to the archives. And I hope you had a very, very happy holiday and New Year. And for those of you who would like to receive email notices of my upcoming shows, like Kathleen does, you can let me know that by going to my DearSafetySolutions.com website and just sign up in the box indicated there to be put on the mailing list. You can just also email me solutions@fightsafe.com, solutions@fightsafe.com. And there is also an RSS feed box on my host page on the voiceamerica.com website. And you can sign up for the notices that way as well. So there's 3 different ways that you can do this. And that way you will never miss an upcoming Crime Prevention 101 show. And don't forget, if you've got a comment about the show or a safety concern you'd like me to address, just go ahead and email me, and I will try to put that on the air as well. Now, I got a couple of interesting police reports for you. Now, and this is I think it's an interesting story anyway. I was waiting in my doctor's office for a checkup, and I happened to pick up a People magazine, which I really don't read. And I came across a little article that they called Arrested Development, and it was about stupid criminals and how they got caught doing stupid things. Now, I don't know for sure, of course, but I'm thinking maybe somehow somebody at People magazine was listening to Crime Prevention 101 and heard my weird police report segment. Just thought it was kind of curious, I don't know, but hey, I'm just saying. Anyway, so I like the stories, and I thought I would tell you what they were. This is from the People magazine of December 8th. And this one is called Alleged Thief Left His Wallet Behind. And this fellow, his name is Yakov Kanelsky. Someone was knocking on his window. He lives in Brooklyn, New York, and it was a July afternoon. And he opens the window, and the guy standing there says, "Could I have my wallet back?" And Mr. Kanelsky, he'd just returned. He didn't know what he had been out. He didn't know what the guy was talking about. And the guy said, "Well, look, I'll give you back the $200 I stole from you if you give me back my wallet." And sure enough, Mr. Konelsky goes into his bedroom, and he finds this guy's wallet and finds that the guy had broken in and stolen $200. So what did he do? Called the police. The guy nabbed him. He was 21 years old. Pleaded not guilty. I'm really interested to know how that turned out. I have to see if I can find out. Very bright. Very bright. All right. Next one. This is also pretty good. Frank Singleton, 21. He had just been released from jail, Palm Beach County Detention Center. He had been been put in jail on a minor trespassing charge. He walks out the door. He sees a woman getting into her car in the jail parking lot, yanks her out of the car, and gets in and is driving away in the car, carjacked her, right there in front of the jail. Just so happened that the jail chaplain, Leo Krug, witnessed the whole thing and carried a gun. So he immediately stopped Mr. Singleton. Police rearrested him, and they asked him, well, why did you do this? And the guy said, well, I just didn't feel like walking home. Good one. Good one. So now he was arrested on a much more serious charge of carjacking. Love it. Stupid criminals, okay? And last one, this guy lives in Dartford, England, so it's not just stupid American criminals. And he returned home to find a whole crowd of people outside of his house, and he looks up, and there's some guy hanging from his window. And it turns out that this kid had broken in, tried to break in anyway, to commit a burglary, and got his foot stuck. There was a very narrow window ledge, evidently, where you can get your foot stuck in, and he got it jammed in there nice and good. And he was hanging there upside down, and people called the police, and this guy wasn't going anywhere. The police obviously took their time. He was hanging there about an hour, and there he was for all to see. And I'm just wondering if he pleaded not guilty too. I don't know. I don't know how they can, how they think they'll get away with that. But anyway, stupid criminals, I love it. One more interesting item I want to bring up. Back in October 18, actually, I did a show about identity theft with Todd Davis from the LifeLock company, and that's LifeLock. And I got an email from them about an anti-check washing pen, and I thought I'd mention it. Evidently, using common household products, cleaning products, I guess, criminals can erase your checks and rewrite them and drain your accounts. So the LifeLock company puts out an anti-check washing pen, which contains special security ink that permanently adheres to the check and makes it impossible for thieves to wash out the amount and the name and so forth. So go to lifelock.com if you write a lot of checks and you're interested in this. I got to get them to sponsor this show. I love what they do. All right. Anyway, I'm going to also give you some tips at the end of the show on what to do if you view a crime in progress, how to help somebody out safely. But now I'd like to get to our guest for today, and his name is Larry Lawton. In 1996, Larry was convicted of racketeering in connection with armed robbery and jewel theft, and he was a member of the mafia. He spent 11 years in some of the toughest federal prisons in this country. While he was in prison, he was tortured and put into solitary confinement for months at a time for speaking up about prison abuses. Also, while he was in prison, he worked as a gang mediator and a counselor and became a paralegal. And upon his release from prison, he founded the Reality Check program, which is a 3-hour program that aims to help teens and young adults before they get arrested or go to prison by making them see what life will be like for them in prison. And he has helped hundreds of local youth from about, I guess, age 11 to 21. So, Larry, welcome to Crime Prevention 101.
Welcome, Susan. How you doing?
Hi.
Happy New Year.
Thank you so much, and it is such a pleasure to have you with me today. So, Larry, now look, tell me a little bit about your story, where you're from and all that, and when did you first get in trouble with the law?
Well, I grew up like a lot of kids. I grew up in the Bronx and then Brooklyn, New York, and I was a typical kid, grew up in a middle-class family, did everything all right. I'm 47 years old, so I grew up in the late 60s and the 70s when we all looked up to somebody, and we looked up to the wrong people. And then that's how I got involved in organized crime. I went into the Coast Guard at 17 years old. School wasn't a thing. I went to Lehman High School in the Bronx. And after the Coast Guard, which I got hurt, I got injured in the Coast Guard, and I got out, and I got right back into the bad business. And it's very alluring because of the money. It's very enticing because of the power. And now what I do is I tell kids, it's not worth it. I lost my whole life. I lost my kids. I lost my, deaths in the family and everything else. I spent a lot of years. I spent 11 straight years in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And
now you were an armed robber, correct?
Right. I did armed jewelry robberies. And we were actually, the crew I was with, we were the biggest armed robbery crew in the whole country. And I went to prison alone. I don't believe in ratting. I know that's a nomenclature today, but I believe you have to take responsibility for what you did.
It's also omerta, right? The code of silence. You don't.
Oh yeah. Well, it's that's been broken so many times. We can get into a whole show on that. But
okay.
So it's really not about that. It's really about yourself, and it's about the prison system can take a lot from you, and they could take your your money. They could take your time, but they can't take you, and they can't take your honor. And that's something I've learned, not from being in organized crime. I learned that from my family. And I had a lot of close family that stuck with me through very hard times, and friends. And now, I made bad choices, Susan. It's all about that. And now I'm preventing crime, like your show, deals with that. I prevent more crimes by stopping a kid before they do something stupid. And before they do that stupid crime, I liked your segment in the beginning.
The stupid criminals, right? Do you think People magazine stole that from me? I just wonder.
You never know, but
you never know, right?
You
love
hear
that.
some of that stuff, and I'll tell you what, they might have.
I would love to think that they are fans of Crime Prevention 101. All right, but Larry, let's back up a little bit because you did some amazing things also in jail, and I want to talk about. Now you went into jail, 1996. You served 11 years, and you got into trouble in jail.
Well, what I did was there was in trouble in jail. I wasn't in trouble. I studied the law in prison, and luckily I'm intelligent enough to really grasp it. And I actually, along with another person, won a certiorari in the Supreme Court on a case. Now, what happens in the prison system is, you fight the abuses. There's a lot of abuses going on. There's a very fine line.
Let me break in. We're coming up on a break. I want to hold you right there.
Sure.
When we come back, I'm going to pick it up here. I want to talk about what changes you made while you were in prison and how you came to that. So just hold 1 second. Nobody touch their mouse. We're going to be right back.
News, opinion, your voice counts. Call toll-free 1-866-472-5787. 1-866-472-5787. VoiceAmerica.com. After more than 17 years' experience teaching safety skills to thousands of women and men, crime prevention and personal safety expert Susan Bartelstone concluded that by thinking and responding quickly, ideally within 20 seconds, potentially violent criminal encounters can be prevented. Using techniques from many different disciplines and illustrated by 60 real-life examples and success stories, Susan shows how it's done in her new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime, How to Respond to Danger in 20 Seconds or Less. Check out www.fightsafe.com for more information. You'll also find information there on Susan's upcoming Crime Prevention 101 personal safety teleseminars. Think fast, talk fast, fight smart, which stress the many opportunities you have to deter or defuse a criminal encounter and how to use your brains instead of your muscles in a fight. Look for the new book information or sign up for Susan Bartelstone's personal safety seminars at www.fightsafe.com today. Have you ever thought about having your own internet talk show? Well, if you said yes, then click About Us. Then click Be a Host to get more information. Or just call Jeff Spinard at 480-294-6417.
Say that again?
480-294-6417. VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
Welcome back, everybody. Talking about renewal and changing your life, and I've got ex-con Larry Lawton from the Reality Check program with me. And don't forget to check my DearSafetySolutions.com website, because I'm going to put more information on this topic, and I'm going to have a link to Larry's website and all that. And I just want to say really quickly to those crime survivors out there that are listening, and I say this every show, to those of you that already are a survivor of the kind of crime that we may be talking about, or any other kind of crime, please understand that nothing that happened to you was your fault. Even if you think that you used bad judgment in a situation that left you vulnerable, that is never an excuse for a crime or for violence. And just call yourself a survivor and not a victim, and understand, with the proper professional help, you can put what happened into perspective and get on with your life. And I hope that this show gives you some small consolation that some of the bad guys really are trying to make amends. So, all right, Larry, hi again.
How you doing?
You did some amazing things. You're kind of downplaying it, but not a lot of people become paralegals in jail. Not a lot of people speak out about prison abuses. What made you decide to do that?
Well, what you just said before we came back, when we came back, was very important about the victims. You do hurt the victims. I hurt the victims, not physically hurt them, but mentally hurt them. I never hurt anybody in a crime.
And thank you for saying that.
But, what you do is important, because it's not their fault. And now I give back to that area because I know what's going on. And if you get to the kids before they make those decisions, to rob somebody, to vandalize somebody's home, to violate their space in some way, what a difference we're making. And in life, you have to do that today. Too many people just worry about, going along in life, but if you don't see the big picture and try to help these people in some way, in the victims. So there is a part of victims, and I want to stop all abuses, because the prison system is a big abuse bowl. It's from the guards. The guards strapped me down, four-pointed me, handcuffed me buck naked, and beat me and tortured me for writing senators the guards killing people in prison. I mean, this is documented stuff. And so what are we making? We're making these guys in prison better criminals to come out instead of changing their lives and rehabilitating them and not causing any more harm for more victims.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's talk about the Reality Check program. Now, in an interview, you said that in prison there's predators and there's prey. And I guarantee every one of these kids that they are prey. I don't care how tough they think they are. In prison, you're constantly watching your back and fearing for your life every day, and you're on your own. Guards won't protect you, and you learned that firsthand. How did you come up with the idea? You came out, you wanted to do something, you knew you didn't want to go back to prison, and you wanted to help others. How did you decide on the Reality Check program?
Well, I'll give you what happened. I got out of prison, and, of course, I got offered jobs by lawyers who know I know the law. But a very good friend over here in Palm Bay, I'm in Palm Bay, Florida, came to me and said, Larry, I need a favor. I go, back in that business. He goes, no. I have a son who's 16 years old, and I caught him smoking marijuana, and he comes in, reads him the riot act, and the kid says to him some four-letter words, F you, Dad, where have you ever been? Hence, he calls me, and I take pictures I have. I have a very powerful program, Susan. pictures of me in prison. And I use this analogy. Does a person want to, do you want to hear about Mount Everest by somebody who climbed it and froze their things off at 28, or somebody who wrote a book?
And by the way, Larry.
Sure.
I just want to tell the audience here, if you go to Larry's website and you look at Larry is a person you would believe. You would believe when he tells you that he's been through it, because he's kind of an intimidating guy with tattoos all over the place. I love that we're hearing the heart inside, but check out that website, because when you're saying who do you want to get advice from, someone who read a book or someone who's been there, you will believe Larry when he tells you.
Well,
right?
It's not just believing, Susan. I show them PowerPoints and the pictures of me in the hardest prisons, and with me with life sentence guys. I show them pictures of me with in prison they call them punks, which is a guy who's a girlfriend of another guy, and I show them actual pictures. I don't sugarcoat it, Susan. I let the kids and the young adults know exactly what's going to happen. If you sugarcoat it, they're not going to believe you. Counselors, teachers. Kids don't listen to parents, grandparents, teachers, counselors, or the police. It's a shame, but they'll listen to an ex-con who's been there, who can speak intelligently also. I mean, you have to be able to convey the message of what you're going to lose. And it's a 4-part program, my whole it's the reality check program. The first
how old are the kids that you take? Between
11 and 21, 22. Oh. I've dealt with them as high up as 25. But
11 is pretty young too.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry, Susan.
I was going to say these are kids that are heading for trouble. These are kids that have gotten into trouble.
Well, some of them have, and some have not. I get a lot of parents who'll call me and want to, they see it starting, whether it's disrespecting them, whether it's stealing a little money out of a cookie jar, stuff at home, whether they're cutting school. It could be little things that they see the light and they say, wow, we can't get to this kid. And believe it or not, Susan, they're starting so young. I mean, you read about it every day in the news, how young kids are committing some serious crimes. And preventing that, of course, is the ultimate goal.
Now, people are recommended by the juvenile courts in Florida to you, I understand? And
they actually are some kids get sentenced to me. The court system here in Florida sentences kids to my program. They actually get 8 hours of community service to go to my program. Even the kids who go to high school get the Bright Futures program, which means, when they need community service hours for college, they get that also. It's a proved program because it's working. I mean, we did a preliminary quantitative analysis, and we have a 70% success rate. I'd love to have a 20% success rate, but, it's working. It's
all right. Kids
are seeing a light, and I think a lot of it just they need to be told reality, and that's why we call it the reality check program.
And what are the 4 parts of the program?
Well, the first part is discussion of choices in my life. They see where how I grew up. I'm just like them. I'm a regular guy. Then the second part is what prison is really like. It's very intense, and it has the pictures of the prisons and the stories of the deaths and tortures and the rapes I've seen and been witness to and hear, and the sounds. It's very intense. And then the third section is we call crimes and penalties and what you will lose, which is time, your choices. You can't vote. You can't get a job at a city as a city garbage man here in Florida because they're going to run your record. And then the fourth one is avoiding and dissolving bad associations, where we want to take the kids. We actually just did a DVD, and that's coming out on the market of the whole program, and it's very intense, very, very, very well done by Chuck Bennett Productions, as a company down here that does a lot of major productions, and they grasp the important parts of my program. If the DVD is about an hour and 20 minutes or something like that.
And this is going to be for sale on your website?
Yeah, it'll be on the website. Actually, we're going to be talking to other companies, QVC, Walmart, a lot of companies.
Wow.
And it's going to be coming out. Actually, we're having a DVD launch party in a couple of weeks, actually January 17th. Susan, I'd love to invite you.
I would love to be there.
I'd love to invite you. So if you can make it, I'll invite you after the show.
Let's see. It's cold here in New York City. I would love to get there. Now, give us the website.
The website is www.realitycheckprogram.com. .org. A lot of people put .com. So .org.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're approved by the judges, and judges, again, sentence us, or youth organizations know of my program. I get called by the local police. I get called by the sheriff's department. I get called, I was actually into the jail, and I was speaking to the commander of the jail, and they want to do a program for kids. I was in the hardest prison, Susan, and it was tough. And, I think, truthfully, I'm here for a reason. And I'm a lucky man to be sane, so to speak. A lot of people say, Larry, how are you sane? And
Indeed.
What I've been through, I really don't want anybody. If people go to the website, they could see some videos and TV shows I was on. I was just on a Orlando station a few weeks back, and they came to the program, and they actually showed the kids, and the kids get it. When you see a kid light up, Susan, it's a very rewarding feeling to watch a kid get it. And,
sure.
It's rewarding because I want to prevent, like what your show does, crime prevention. Do you know if we prevent the crime before it happens, we're not saving only the kid that's going to have a wreck, we're saving the victim.
Saving the
victims,
exactly.
Everybody down the line. And, go ahead.
That's why I wanted to have you on this show. Exactly. Now, I had a quick question to ask you. Back in the 80s, there was a program called Scared Straight. Are you familiar with that?
Quite familiar. And I'd like to say we're not scared straight. And
I was going to ask you what the differences are.
Well, Scared Straight tried to scare a kid, and that might work for a second or a minute. Every kid, every person who, even you and I, you remember stories. You could remember stories back 30 years ago, 20 years ago, that somebody told you and it's stuck in your head. Reality check is based on visualization and an actual story of somebody told. I remember stories from old-timers. You couldn't scare me. I don't remember someone just scaring me. Because our bodies are accustomed, and our minds, I've developed this whole program with a sociologist and a psychologist,
really?
Our minds are geared, Susan, towards forgetting bad. You know that, forgetting the bad. And when you do forget, that's why the recidivism rate is very high in prison, in the society, because people do forget the bad that happened in prison to them. So that's why they recommit felonies or recommit crime. But what happens with everybody is they're going to gear to forget. But you're going to remember a story. You're not going to forget something like when you see, as you said, I'm kind of an intimidating figure, but I don't yell. I don't, come in your face. I say reality. I tell the kids when I open a program, if you'd like to sit your head down and sleep, you'll still get your certificate. And not once has it happened, Susan. I go to high schools. I speak in youth organizations. I speak at high schools around here, and I go all over the country now. And not once has somebody put their head down and went to sleep. And they can. But it's well done where they want to get the information. And the program is done in the 4 parts, so they get a break, because we know the attention span of even adults isn't too long. So it's about 40 minutes, 45 minutes before we take a break.
This is really impressive. I mean, now, do you see the reality check program spreading to other cities and different places?
We are already. And actually, we're in Florida, and we're coming to your area, Susan, so I'm going to come see you.
You better let me know when you're coming here.
Oh, we're going to be in your area. Like I said, the DVDs are going to be all out. I have the only program of this kind in the whole country, and that's been researched by people, because there are programs of prevention of getting to kids beforehand, but they're done by a counselor, by a police officer.
Now, are they still doing the Scared Straight program? Because I know that program, I believe, was by people that were still in jail. Is that?
Yes.
Am I correct on that?
They're not doing it because they have proved that it doesn't work. And
okay.
Reality check that's why it's not. We don't go at it as a Scared Straight. It's reality. It is upfront reality. We don't sugarcoat it. I use language that the kids know. Let me put it that way, so they'll understand it. On the DVD, we don't, but actually in my program, I will.
Larry, let me interrupt you right now. We're coming up on our next break.
Sure.
I'm going to pick this up when we come right back. Don't touch your mouse out there.
Ask the experts. Call toll-free right now, 1-866-472-5787. And ask our all-star team to answer your question. That's 1-866-472-5787.
Thank you for calling.
VoiceAmerica.com. After more than 17 years' experience teaching safety skills to thousands of women and men, crime prevention and personal safety expert Susan Bartelstone concluded that by thinking and responding quickly, ideally within 20 seconds, potentially violent criminal encounters can be prevented. Using techniques from many different disciplines and illustrated by 60 real-life examples and success stories, Susan shows how it's done in her new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime: How to Respond to Danger in 20 Seconds or Less. Check out www.fightsafe.com for more information. You'll also find information there on Susan's upcoming Crime Prevention 101 personal safety teleseminars. Think fast, talk fast, fight smart, which stress the many opportunities you have to deter or defuse a criminal encounter and how to use your brains instead of your muscles in a fight. Look for the new book information or sign up for Susan Bartelstone's personal safety seminars at www.fightsafe.com today. Talk, talk, talk. That's all we do is talk. Yeah! If you'd like to talk, call us toll-free right now at 1-866-472-5787. 1-866-472-5787.
That's it. That's it.
VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
Welcome back, everybody. Crime Prevention 101, and I'm talking with Larry Lawton about the Reality Check program, which tries to prevent troubled kids from going down the wrong path, the path that Larry took. And right before the break, we were talking about this program because it has a success rate that's really impressive. Any success rate is impressive, truthfully. And we're talking about it spreading to other places, and I would really love to see that. And you probably have a network of ex-cons like yourself that are willing to also maybe do something along the model that you set up. So I'm really thankful that you're doing this, Larry.
Well,
now,
you know that's interesting, but it's very hard to get anybody to do what I've done, because you have to be a paralegal. You have to have been, I hate to say this, tortured or been to the hardest prisons in the country, and a lot have. And they have to also be not bitter, Susan. The key with a lot of inmates is they're bitter, whether their upbringing, and we don't deal with that. We deal on choice making. We deal on taking responsibility for your actions. We don't deal on being bitter, because if you're bitter, you're harboring hate for the system or your parents or whatever. You know, we all have skeletons in our closet, Susan. I don't care who you are. And, you know, you have to get over them. You know, you have to, there comes a time in your life, and, 15, 16, or whatever they are, and whatever. I show pictures of a son and his father in prison, because I tell them you have to break the cycle. And, that's why I want to get that out there, that everybody has the skeletons, and you have to deal with them, and, you got to get on in life and make the right choices. That's the whole crux of the whole program, which makes it very powerful.
It actually sounds like you should be talking to people who've already been in jail and gotten out, too. I did an interesting program a couple of weeks ago about the Fortune Society, which is a program that's in New York City, and they deal with ex-cons coming out of jail. They're like a one-stop shop. They've got job counseling and drug counseling and health counseling and all this stuff. Sounds like they should have a little bit of reality check in there as well to help them to deal with the bitterness and all that. I love that idea.
Well, that's a good point, and I will get hold of them, or I hope you can, maybe put me through.
I'll tell you what. Let's talk about that, and I will definitely put you in touch with these people. So
Sure.
It's a great program, and I'd love to see that program spread out around too. They've got an impressive success rate, and these are people that have been through the criminal justice system. They've as you say, they can come out very bitter. Now, let's talk a little bit about LL Research and Consulting, which is the company that you have down in Florida. And you provide a great service for kids who are newly arrested. Just tell us a little about that.
Well, what it is the whole company name is LL Research and Consulting, and of course under that is the arm of the reality check program, which is just growing immensely. So I'm kind of busy with that. But what I also do is I give lawyerly advice. I cannot give advice because I'm not a lawyer. So by law I can't. But I do recommend certain lawyers that I know deal with certain kids. I also get kids who come out of prison, and I do this for free. I take a kid who's been out of prison, I try to help him adjust. Let me tell you a story. When I got out of prison, Susan, I couldn't order a sandwich at a Subway shop. I was institutionalized. I didn't realize it, of course, because you don't know when something happens to you. I looked up on the board, and you have to remember, I went away in '96. I got out in 2007. When I looked up on that board, there were too many choices for me to make. I froze. Mm-hmm. And kids coming out don't know that. You can go in for a short period of time and get institutionalized. And I said about predators and prey, and because of the age of a lot of kids going in, they're automatically prey. They're going to be manipulated. That there's more drugs and narcotics in prison than there are on the street. Figure that out, but I can't. I can tell you how. There's more, violence and everything else. So a kid coming out has to adjust to society. So I do help on that end, and the lawyers here and the people here know, and that's why I said with that Fortune Society, I'll talk to them and see what I can do and where we can help them and truly work with them to get them not recommitting an offense and lower that recidivism rate.
I think that's a you got to get them coming and going, as they say.
Well,
coming in and going out.
Again, my ultimate thing, Susan, though, is preventing them from going. The old saying is, preventing the crime before it happens is the best medicine, and it's so true. And if I could change that, then we're going to have less and less. It's a sad statistic. We have the highest incarceration rate out of any civilized country in the world per capita. Yes, we do.
Really?
That is more. We have more incarcerated than the Soviet Union, France, Germany. I'm talking per capita. We have 300 million people. We have 2 million people in prison. That's a number that's crazy, and it's growing because because people are cutting the funding for programs like whatever they are, like like you're saying, the Fortune Society or whatever. It's a shame because they're taking a part of a society that's really not. I mean, the sadness I saw in there, a kid going in prison for a minor offense, ends up doing something, becomes a real criminal, and he's being taught by professional criminals. I hate to say that.
Now, one of the things you do through LL Research and Consulting is that you advise people who are about to do time. What do you tell them?
Well, we'll get some white-collar people. We'll get other people who are going to prison, depending on the prison, because, I've been in the hardest prisons. I've been in medium security prisons. And I was in the Federal Bureau of Prison. I was transferred a lot, and I know the system. I know the system very well. I'm an expert at what they call the CFR, which is the Code of Federal Regulations. And what I will do is advise how to act, what to do, how to conduct yourself.
What you tell them?
I tell them a lot of things. There's, associations, what people, and it's not just the basic, somebody's going to give you a gift and try to, rape you and something like that. It's the way it could be, where to sit, eye contact, who your cellmate's going to be, and how to conduct yourself with that cellmate. I've had a couple of people who went to prison and just they'd do 6 months for a white-collar crime in what they call a federal prison camp, but it's still a prison. And there is a way to actually, how to get to closest to your home and stuff. And I know all the nuances of prison and how to help you out with that part of it, and how to conduct yourself so you come out a sane person. I really don't want to see. And there's such sadness in prison. It's such there's such destruction. It's so sad that it's a part of society. It makes me hurt in the heart, and to see it, if you saw it up front, people just forget about it, and that's what I don't want. And that's the part of the company that I do a lot of pro bono work and trying to help someone, because I don't want to see the recidivism rate high.
And I don't want to see these. Yeah, and I don't want to see these people come out hardened criminals either. So I think that is equally important, Larry. And yeah, preventing, of course, is the first step. But you want to also, if you can't prevent it, at least try not to advise these people what to do, so that they don't come out, as you say, bitter, hardened, and going to do it again. So I love that. Yeah.
So true, Susan. The bitterness on people is very, very sad, and that's the first step, and I'm sure the Fortune Society does something with that. But when they see somebody who's been there and did things in prison, constructive and helped, and you can, a lot of people, there's an old joke, they'll find religion in prison, but, they get out and there's a joke in prison that there's a box outside of every prison, and the guy will go out and put his Bible in the box and pick up a crack pipe. That's a joke, because they'll do something to survive. And if it's not real, if it's not getting over, and there's no programs, it's a shame. Prison system says there's this kind of program that, Susan, I lived it, and it's sad to say there's no programs, no real programs that are going to help. It's all window dressing for society, and I hope to speak in front of Congress someday, and I have spoken to some very big politicians myself, and they all want me to come to Washington and speak on a subject that's really needed to be.
I think we need you there. Now, one more point I want to bring up. I understand that movie is being made about your life and your experiences. Can you talk a little about that?
Sure. Things have been coming out. When I got out in 2007, newspaper articles came out about what I'm doing in the area and everything else, and pretty big articles and TV shows. So I was contacted by a Hollywood scriptwriter, and they're making, my life is a very intriguing life. It's if you remember the movie Goodfellas, it's a Goodfellas with a good ending. It's nobody getting killed at the end. There's nobody going into the witness protection program, and I'm helping kids. So there's the opening of a movie is, I get the script, and I have to go over and say, no, that wasn't right. So they are making it, and it's a big process. I didn't know the size of the process. And, I'm so busy. It's amazing. I read the scripts on the plane. And I have to do that because, wow, I used to hate to fly. Now I get work done. So.
Wow. Well, I love it. I love it. This is fantastic, and I want to go to the premiere of the movie. Okay.
You're invited. Sure. How is that? I'm inviting you to our DVD launch, which is it's a major. Matter of fact, no matter what, Susan, I'll send you a copy of the DVD.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Let's definitely talk about this. I'm going to put a link to it on my website. We're coming up to the end of this segment. I want to thank you, Larry, for being my guest. I'm going to be in touch with you after the show. We're going to stay in touch. Everybody, it's www.realitycheckprogram.org. Stay tuned for info on the DVD coming out. And when we come back from break, I'm going to be talking about how to help somebody who is in trouble without endangering yourself. So stay tuned.
Have you ever thought about having your own internet talk show? Well, if you said yes, then click About Us. Then click Be a Host to get more information. Or just call Jeff Spinard at 480-294-6417.
Say that again?
480-294-6417. VoiceAmerica.com. After more than 17 years' experience teaching safety skills to thousands of women and men, crime prevention and personal safety expert Susan Bartelstone concluded that by thinking and responding quickly, ideally within 20 seconds, potentially violent criminal encounters can be prevented. Using techniques from many different disciplines and illustrated by 60 real-life examples and success stories, Susan shows how it's done in her new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime, How to Respond to Danger in 20 Seconds or Less. Check out www.fightsafe.com fightsafe.com for more information. You'll also find information there on Susan's upcoming Crime Prevention 101 personal safety teleseminars. Think fast, talk fast, fight smart, which stress the many opportunities you have to deter or defuse a criminal encounter and how to use your brains instead of your muscles in a fight. Look for the new book information or sign up for Susan Bartelstone's personal safety seminars at www.fightsafe.com today. News, opinion.
Can you hear me?
Your voice counts. Call toll-free 1-866-472-5787. 1-866-472-5787. VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
Welcome back, everybody. Crime Prevention 101, and we're coming into the last segment of the show. What a great guest. This show was one of my favorites, absolutely. Just the message of exactly what this show is about. So anyway, I want to talk now about viewing a crime in progress, what to do to help yourself, to help somebody safely. And this was also a letter that was sent to me, an email, rather, to my dearsafetysolutions.com website. And in the letter, it said, I saw a clip, Dear Safety Solutions, I saw a clip from the Today Show called Protecting Your Kids. And what this clip did is it actually simulated child abduction scenarios, and they had a security specialist playing the abductor, and they had a 7-year-old little girl actor who posed as the potential abductee. And the purpose of this was to see, and this was shot on a very heavily trafficked New York City streets in the middle of the day. The purpose was to see if people passing by would take action, and if so, what action that they would take. And the little girl in the clip there was screaming and yelling for help and carrying on very convincingly that an abductor, this abductor was trying to drag her off, but time after time, no one stopped or intervened in any way. I mean, this was just amazing. I think they said it was 4 hours that they were shooting before someone actually stopped. And what happened here is called the bystander effect. And this is just a perfect example of it. Most experts find that most people in a crowd become frozen with fear when they see something. They don't know what to do. They have no idea how to help, and all they do is freeze. So my first tip here on this is, if you hear someone yelling for help, whatever the circumstances may be, stop, turn around, and look at it. And by the way, and I always say this, I'm giving you tips and advice, but no absolutes exist in a crime scenario, and no advice can possibly address every variable. You got to evaluate each situation individually and respond instinctively in the way you judge the safest. And I just hope that my tips and information help you make that decision instinctively and quickly. But so when you see something going on, when you hear someone making noise, stop, turn around, look. Second tip, stay on the scene. Now, you may not feel capable of getting into a physical confrontation with the person if you observe them committing a crime, but stay on the scene, evaluate what's going on, call 911. Stay at a discreet distance, look directly at the perpetrator so that he knows he's being observed, or she, by the way. Let him see that you're calling 911 on your cell phone and make noise. I don't know what's going on here, but I've called the police, and keep it up. And this is what's going to also alert other passerbys that something is wrong, and it may enlist their help. And that's what happens. If you take action, Other people passing by now know what to do. They will support you. If you don't have a cell phone, and tusk if you don't, yell to a passerby, call 911. I think someone's being attacked. I think someone's being robbed. I think someone's being kidnapped. If you've got a cell phone, take a picture. Stay at a safe distance. Take a picture. You can, in some areas, you can send those pictures directly to the police department and find out in your area if you can do that. If you don't have a camera or cell phone, pretend you do. Hold the thing out. Pretend you're taking the picture. And let that perpetrator know, I'm taking a picture. I'm sending this to the police. I've called the police. They're on their way. If you can, make a mental note of what the people are look like. It's kind of hard to do, but think about it beforehand. Maybe you can. If you see a car or the license plate, take a picture of the license plate, or just remember it. Try to write it down somewhere. Even 3 digits will enable you to. That will enable the police to put a make on the car. Next tip: try to involve others on the scene. I think a child is being abducted. I think a child's being kidnapped. That way they will take action with you. They'll stop. They'll yell. Bottom line, don't walk away until you're satisfied that there's nothing criminal going on, and get help if there is or if you're not sure. And just a little bit of a safety tip for you: if you're in trouble yourself, the best thing that you can yell, call the police, I'm being attacked, because it breaks through that bystander effect. It tells the action that people can do to help you. Don't yell, help, help, help. I don't like yelling fire. Be very descriptive. Back up. Get your hands off of me. I'm being attacked. Call the police. And last tip, teach your children, if they should find themselves in an abduction scenario, to yell very clearly what the problem is. This isn't my father. This isn't my mom. I'm being kidnapped. Call the police. I need your help. Very distinctly what the problem is. So there you go. How to help someone who's in trouble safely. I'm going to post this on my Dear Safety Solutions website for you. If you want it in written form, you've got it right there. Now, like my mailbag item, if you'd like to hear some past episodes of Crime Prevention 101, like Kathleen from Narbonne, Pennsylvania, just go to my host page on the voiceamerica.com website. All my shows are archived there. You can also go to my dearsafetysolutions.com website, because I've got all the shows on archive there, and I've got links to all the show guests, and I posted show notes for each episode there. And if you want a link to Larry Lawton's realitycheckprogram.com, it's going to be right there. And while you're there and you're looking for the tips from today, there's lots of other safety tips on that website. It's on my dearsafetysolutions.com safety tips section of that website. And if you've got a question, if you've got a comment about today's show, if you've got a safety concern that you'd like help with, just send me an email. solutions@fightsafe.com is my email address. You can also, there's a response box on my Dear Safety Solutions website that you can post your comments on, and I love to get the comments. I really do. This is part of my mission and what I'm trying to do here, like Larry said, to prevent people from being crime victims. And I definitely want to say that I'm just so excited about this show today. I can't stand it. I've got some great shows also coming up for you. Next week, my guest will be the last segment on renewal. And my guest next week left prison with a GED and a $20 bill and a vow never to go back, and he never has. And he's now in his 70s. His name is Dr. Paul Fotek. He became eventually a forensic psychologist. He wrote a book called Going Straight, an ex-convict psychologist tells why and how. He's really an interesting fellow. He now spends his retirement lecturing to offender groups about lessons that he's learned. Also, I wanted everyone to know that January is National Personal Self-Defense Awareness Month, and I'm going to be doing a couple of shows on self-defense. And this is, people might not know this if you're new to the show, but this is my background. I was a self-defense instructor before I became crime prevention and personal safety. So we're going to be doing a self-defense show for kids. This is one of the best programs out there around. And I'm also going to do another show on self-defense techniques with a surprise guest. So lots of good stuff coming up. It would be a crime to miss it. So stay tuned, stay safe, and Happy New Year.
We hope you got some useful information and inspiration this week on Crime Prevention 101. Susan Bartelstone invites you to join us again next Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time and 2 p.m. Eastern Time here on Voice America. Have a great weekend and a safe weekend.